Hey guys, and welcome back to actually our fourth episode of our podcast How to Have Fun in Schools with me, Moritz, our marketing manager.
And me, Ferdy, our project manager.
Yeah, and as we already said, today our topic are our two main sponsors, Lufthansa Technik and Waygate Technologies, and we're also going to talk about our experiences
with the acquisition of sponsors,
as well as
and the communication, right? Because I think one of the things that we're going to talk about in the learning segment today is that actually many people forget that after acquiring a sponsor, you still have to keep communicating to them. The communication, this is only the start of the partnership and relationship, because I think many people see sponsorship as something that is one-sided. You know, the sponsor provides financial resources or different resources, and then the team just takes it and uses it in order to achieve their goals or improve their deliverables. And I think that it's actually, as often in life, a two-way street. And today I think we'll start with Lufthansa Technik. Right, and maybe you can give us a brief introduction of, I think the company Lufthansa Technik should be known by a lot of people, but still,
Yeah, so Lufthansa Technik is a sub-company from Lufthansa, and Lufthansa Technik is repairing airplanes, and they have their location near to the Hamburg airport, and they are actually the biggest company that is in Hamburg. And I think all over the world they have over 20,000 employees. And I think that's very impressive. And I just want to tell you how our presentation was. So
it was. I think we have to say it was completely crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah.
We had the opportunity to present ourselves to the CFO and CTO of Lufthansa Technik, which meant that of course we prepared in advance. Like, we started 1 month prior to prepare what we are going to say during the communication with our sponsors and everything. And I think it was a really interesting topic. This is a really interesting topic because the acquisition of sponsors really requires a lot of skills that maybe also students don't really need normally. Because as I remember it, we got there and the complete area where it was just Lufthansa Technik was as big as a small city. And then we went into the tallest building in this small city, into the top floor.
Yeah, but wait, do you remember the moment when we entered just the lobby of the whole complex? Because I remember that it was kind of like if you were at a real airport, because there were all of these security checks, and we needed to, I think they checked us if we had kind of like explosive chemicals on our fingers, and that was crazy because we never had this experience before talking to one of our potential partners. And as Ferdy already mentioned, we entered the tallest building, the top floor,
and I think
the atmosphere was crazy.
The atmosphere was crazy, and talking to these people required really a lot of professionalism as well, and to really concentrate yourself and everything and present your team in such a way, which I think is also very important, because as an F1 in Schools team, you know what you're talking about. When you talk to Jan, our design engineer, about the car, he starts talking about details in fluidity of the air and how it circulates around the car and everything, and extremely complex things. And I think one of the main things that you have to know is that you have to show the sponsors that you're talking to, first of all, introduce them in a very easy manner to the topic so that they can even get an idea of what you're talking about or what you're doing all the time. And it's really like taking their hand and guiding them with you to what you're talking about and what you're actually doing in your free time. And I think that was a really crazy experience, and also it required a lot of courage to really, as a 16-year-old guy, talk to the CFO of Lufthansa Technik. That was really crazy. But should we maybe continue with Waygate Technologies?
Yeah, we can continue with Waygate Technologies. So Waygate Technologies is a sub-company of Baker Hughes, and overall they are a company for manufacturing multiple things. And in our case, they are helping us with producing our chassis for our final cars. But they are also helping us producing our wheels, for example. And especially Jan and Tamino are in contact with them. But for example, next week I'm also going to join them, and I will be seeing the production process of the chassis being manufactured, and we're really happy about this collaboration because having a company that really, I'd say, really knows what they are doing is essential for a good partnership, and that's why we're really happy about this collaboration.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things is actually that I remember, which was really a completely crazy experience, when Tamino and I went there to first introduce our team and present ourselves. There was like this moment from, we just thought, okay, we're going to this normal sponsorship presentation, we're going to give our presentation, we're going to tell them what we're doing and everything, and we're going to hope that they can support us in some type of way. And at some point, because really the milling of the car is a very complicated concept, a really complicated process as well. I remember being in this room with, it switched like from just presenting what we're doing to being in this room with 7 engineers who talk to us, ask questions, how we're going to do that, and really seeing how you're supported. You know, this was a great experience, which we're really thankful for. I think it was also a great learning for us to see what it's really like to work in some type of tech company, and also get an idea of what our future might look like as well.
That's true. That are our 2 main sponsors, as we already have mentioned, and that's of course why they also receive the best return on investments. And that's, for example, why we are here promoting them on our podcast, but they're also receiving a video promotion, and we just think that a collaboration, as the name already says, is not one-sided, and you also have to give back things to our partners. And that's why they receive special return on investments. But as we said, we're really thankful for these collaborations.
Now let's continue probably with the learnings, right? So let's switch to Ray Explains now. And Moritz, what do you think, you as our head of enterprise, what do you think about what the main takeaways for sponsorship and the acquisition and also the communication with sponsors are that you had from F1 in Schools?
So first of all, for all you guys out there, keep the collaboration as personal as possible, because also in the first presentation the sponsors want interaction, so leave them time to ask questions and go into kind of like discussions and away from a simple presentation. And also in the communication afterwards, try to be personal and, I don't know, explain problems you might have, or let them ask questions about your process. And that's just what I'm trying to say is that for a good collaboration, the collaboration between you and the company needs to be, on the same eye level.
Yeah. So and I also think that's the next thing that I also think is really important, that is often forgotten, is that it's a two-way street and you have to work together. So it should be your aim not to only receive something from the sponsors, but also to fulfill their interests in the best way possible. So for us, it's really important to see maybe different sponsors have different interests as well. So for example, I know that the Wilhelm Stemmer founding organization has very different interests than Baker Hughes has. And I think that it's really important to know in sponsorship who has which interests and to fulfill these interests for every single one of these sponsors so that they are happy with the collaboration as well, which I think is really important.
Yeah, and if you're preparing for a competition and you're looking for sponsors who support you and your working process, be happy with every sum you can receive, even if it's just, I don't know, 50 euros or something, be happy because all of your sponsors are worth very much, because they support you in realizing your project, and that's what I'm basically trying to say. So even little sponsors are worth a lot.
Yeah, I think so as well, because I have to really say, and I think in general, sponsorship for this project is really a really nice thing, because you also get an insight on the corporate and business world. You know, for example, with Waygate Technologies, you also get the opportunity to later on work for these companies. You know, you work together closely with them through F1 in schools, and I think that you should all try to seek benefits, like for example, being able to work with this company, not just in F1 in schools, but also further. And I think that that's really important as well.
Yeah, that's true. And the contacts you make through acquiring sponsors are really worth a lot, because, for example, I think Tamino already got offered a place at Waygate Technology for an internship or something.
Yeah.
And I think that these collaborations, as Ferdy already said, go on also after the competition itself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think because we've already talked a lot about our sponsors in today's podcast, I think we're going to skip the sponsoring section at the end. And yeah.
That's it, basically. And we hope you liked this episode. And in the next episode, if I'm right, we're going to talk about what's our progress in our work for the World Finals.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
I think that's going to be really interesting, because
it's going to be interesting.
You know, we can't give every single insight, because there still has to be some disclosure, but I think
we try to be as detailed as possible.
And I think really the process of working from the German Championship to now, we're like 1 month before we're going to Dammam in Saudi Arabia right now, is really worth talking a lot about it, because there were many difficulties and many challenges you have to face, and overcoming them is really a difficult but still interesting task, I would say.
Yeah. So if you want to hear that, then go on hearing our next episode of our podcast, and see you.